computer. All right. So, um, hello and welcome to my kitchen. This is a couple of hours before a class for tonight. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make banana peanut butter soaked out chocolate chip whole grain muffins. Yeah, mini muffins in this case, but the recipe is in your handout. So I just want to go over the ingredients that we're going to be using. We need rolled oats, and I'm going to switch the camera to go top down. So let's push this button. And I think I see me next. No, I got top down. Super. All right, rolled oats. I was at the market the other day, yesterday, and they actually have 4 different kinds of rolled oats. They have the quick kind, which this is not, but you could use those if that's what you have. They have the old-fashioned kind, which this is. Then they have the organic rolled oats, which is like this, but organic. And then they have thick rolled oats, which is like this, but thicker. Any kind of rolled oat that you purchase would be perfectly good in this recipe. Okay, rolled oats. Got that one. Buttermilk. Buttermilk is standard in there. I'm using cultured low-fat buttermilk for mine, but if you want to use buttermilk powder in the appropriate amount of water, please feel free. There is a wonderful recipe on Karen's Kitchen Stories is the website. I will see if I can put that in chat for a bun using buttermilk and potato flakes. Buttermilk potato rolls is what it is the name of the recipe. It's from a book. I'm gonna when I hit pause, I will come back with this book and we'll put a pin on this. We're going to talk about it. Rolled oats, buttermilk. What else is on the wet team? Banana. It's usually 2 large or 3 medium bananas. These are mediums. Those are larges, in my opinion. This or smaller. So a couple of those, 3 of these, whichever those work for you. Bananas. And that reminds me that if your bananas are ripe, you can freeze them. Also a medium banana. You can freeze bananas just the way they are. They're in their own perfect little container to be frozen. They'll turn brown when you freeze it, but the banana inside is perfect, totally perfect. So, if your bananas are riper than you like to eat them, I hate to say overripe because really they're not. Like an overripe peach is, but an overripe banana is just perfectly ripe. I just don't like to eat that kind. But if you have a banana past your desired amount of ripeness, throw it in the freezer, and boom. When I go to use these, I'll set it on the counter for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at the most. But it's just a few minutes. It will thaw itself, and then you can just kind of squish it out of the peel and use it for your recipe. My banana tip. All right. You'll need an egg. I have an egg. You will need brown sugar. I have brown sugar. It's actually light and dark mixed in the same thing because I was buying in bulk. You will need smooth peanut butter. You could use chunky if that's what you have, but I like smooth peanut butter for this. You will need vegetable oil, canola oil in this one. I'm not being weird or cool or anything. This is just my brother gave me a tiny bottle and I bought a big jug and I keep refilling. Okay, you'll need vanilla extract. You will need, go over there. You will need whole wheat flour. Oh, I guess I'm showing the wrong thing. Whole wheat flour. That's what makes these the whole grain. It's rolled oats, whole wheat flour, nothing done like that. And some salts, some baking soda and baking powder, and baking spice or cinnamon or nutmeg or mace or cardamom, or what other spice that appeals to you? What else is it? This has Ceylon cinnamon, China cassia, ground Spanish anise seed, allspice, mace, and cardamom, which is all wrapped up into the wonderful baking spice that I get from Pensies. Okay, so those are all, oops, I forgot the chocolate chips and some mini chocolate chips, which you'll see in a minute. Okay, now let me clear all these things out of the way so we can get going. And I will get the chips. Okay, so about an hour, and I'm going to preheat the oven, about an hour to 400. Okay. About an hour before you want to bake your muffins, or the night before, whichever, if you're having muffins hot in the morning, then do it the night before, saves the time. But if you're baking during the day, about an hour before, you're going to want to combine a cup of oats and a cup of buttermilk and let it sit for just sitting at room temperature. And the oats will absorb, I'll move that way. The oats will hydrate the buttermilk will hydrate the oats, and it activates an enzyme called phytase, which releases some phytic acid, breaks down some phytic acid, so that iron and zinc and a couple of other minerals that are in these grains are a little more digestible for you. According to nutrition people, I'm not going to say it's amazing or better. I'm just going to say, hey, I do this soaked oat thing and it tastes good. So you soak the oats in the buttermilk for an hour. And then I'm going to dump in my smashed banana, which I previously smashed, and an egg. I'm going to crack the egg into where I had the banana just to make sure I don't get any rogue shells. Save your shells and crush them up and add them to your garden where you're planting tomatoes. If you're planting tomatoes, otherwise compost works. Compost always works. Pop you in there. And then I need a quarter cup of brown sugar. A quarter cup measure. Light brown, a blend, zebra sugar, doesn't matter. And a quarter cup of vegetable oil and a quarter cup of peanut butter. I'm not going to measure a quarter cup of peanut butter. I'm just going to spoon it, eyeball it. But what we're building here is the wet team. And that is really why I'm making the video, is that I really wanted to show how you do the muffin method to not overcook things. All right, peanut butter, quarter cup, which is going to be kind of a tremendous spoonful for me. Yeah, about right. And a teaspoon of vanilla. We need you for oatmeal. So this will make like 2 dozen, it'll make 1 dozen regular size muffins, but if you're doing the mini muffins, it'll make like 2 dozen. And the amount of sweetness in here is that quarter cup of brown sugar and then a little bit of chocolate chips. There's not a lot of sweetness in here. This is not your Otis Spunkmeyer chocolate chip muffin, which is A, larger than standard muffins, and B, really sweet. It's pastry. These are muffins that you can actually, at least I feel good about giving to my kids when my kids were little, because it's tasty, it's delicious, but it also has some protein and a lot of fiber in a muffin in a tasty, delicious way. All right, so that's the wet team all banded together. Now we're going to do the dry team. You could put it in a separate bowl, whisk it all together, and then add it to this if you want to. In the ease of just having one less thing to clean up, I'm going to dump everything on top and then mix. So you can weigh out your whole wheat flour. 1 cup should weigh about 4 ounces or 120-ish grams, or you can spoon it in, or you can do some combination. All right. And we're going to go with baking spice, salt, baking soda, and finally baking powder. Look at that. I'll start with what I would least like to contaminate. So we'll get the salt, the baking soda. The baking soda I know that we put in because we have buttermilk. That's supposed to counteract the acidity of the buttermilk. As I recall from where I got this recipe. Let me flip over. Because, hey, passing through, I got this recipe. This was a combination of many recipes kind of grouped together. And I actually had no idea I didn't have this already on my website. Otherwise, I would have just linked this to you instead of doing a video. My mom went to college in Canada and got a degree in home ec, practice house baby, the whole 9 yards for that, if that makes any sense to you. And a couple of her colleagues, Joan Bidanasti and Marilyn Waring, wrote some cookbooks, including Muffins, a cookbook. And when I take a break, I will grab that while I'm grabbing Donna Curry's Make Ahead Bread cookbook and show you them both to you. So one more thing over here. So they have a whole wheat banana peanut butter muffin, which is terrific. And then I had a soaked oat, like pumpkin muffin, and I mashed them together years ago. And that seems to be my standard muffin that I make when I need to make muffins. All right. So the dry team is sitting on top of the wet team. The wet team was mixed really nicely. The dry team I just kind of dumped on top. I'm going to stir a couple of times. Not going to be mixed thoroughly, just stirring a couple of times. And then I'm going to throw in a 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. And these are mini chocolate chips because I think minis distribute a little bit better throughout the batter. So a couple of stirs. Oh, I want to switch back over, right? Got it. All right. A couple of stirs. And then I'm going to add in my 1/4 cup of chocolate chips. I knew I wouldn't forget. And then stir until, what they say, just moistened. So there might be a couple little bits of dry spots, but that's it. Not a lot of stirring. Okay? As she proceeds to stir. Now, get a little room here. The second tip I've got for you is that it is so much easier to scoop up muffin batter than to portion it out in any other way. So I was very fortunate to get cookie scoops when I had no need or desire for cookie scoops. I actually have a third one, which is smaller than this one. This is about 100 size. It says 50 on it. I don't know what that means. Maybe 100 is smaller. This thing says nothing on it. But this wide one, which is probably 3 tablespoons, I think at one point I measured it, and I have a muffin recipe on my website where I talk about this one is this amount of teaspoons. This, I think, is probably a tablespoon and a half, and 3 tablespoons. But you'll find out what works for you. If you have a scooper, it makes making muffins so much easier. You just scoop and drop and scoop and drop. And the pastry chefs at work at Chowgirls, they just scoop everything because we do scoops. We scoop meatballs too. Makes it so much easier. So anyway, for a regular muffin, a larger scoop like this, which is about 3 tablespoons, I believe. It's not a full quarter cup. And for a mini muffin, I'm going to use this one, which is about 1.5 tablespoons. And I'm just going to scoop, 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 scoop. And then I'm going to hit pause because the oven is not yet preheated. So I will pause this video while I get that other stuff, and you'll throw in, oh, and also, I don't know if you can see it in here, probably. I have sprayed this with canola oil spray. Canola oil in my little misto spray. Any kind of baking spray thing that you have, Pam, Baker's Joy, whatever like that. I tend to not like to have little muffin liners on these, partly because it's a pain to peel them off sometimes, and partly because you don't need that piece of paper. That's one less piece of paper that you need to purchase and have plenty of and count out and all of that thing. So if you just spray your pan well, it should be fine. And you just scoop. Will I make this video go faster? Probably not. Probably not. And if you see a dry spot in your batter, that's fine. That's what until just moistened means. It's not thoroughly mixed. It's just barely moistened. Now I'm gonna give myself a little bit of room to hold the tray. All right, so 1 tray done, and I'm going to pop this in the oven after the oven has preheated. I'm actually going to give my oven another probably 5-10 minutes after the beep, just to make sure it really thoroughly is preheated, because it'll beep when it's almost there, thinking that you're there, but give it a good thorough preheat. I do that when I'm making pizza. I do it when I'm doing everything else. So I usually start the oven and then start gathering ingredients. All right, let me hit pause in the recording. All right, let's start the recording again. The oven is beeping because it's ready. So let me switch cameras. I got my cooling rack ready over here. And we'll pop these out on the cooling rack. Stop that and stop that. Okay. Gave myself one space for a handful and then use the other hand. Switch cameras. All right. So as you can see, these muffins are browned around the edges. And they have a nice dome. You probably can't see the nice dome. Let's see if somebody can tip it up. Kind of one of the parts about the dome, there's some dome action. One of the parts about the dome is how much you fill the muffin well, and also how much you mix them. If you overmix it, you'll have a flatter muffin. If you overmix it, you'll end up with a cupcake, and ain't nothing wrong with a cupcake, but this is a muffin. So speaking of muffins, let me switch cameras again, I think. Hey. This is the inside cover of Muffins, a Cookbook. And we have a dog joining us. Muffins, a Cookbook by Joan Bidenoffy and Marilyn Warren, where I got these recipes. We have 2 beagles joining us. And I got the whole whole wheat peanut butter thing. My mom was the one who added the chocolate chips to it. And then this is make ahead bread. And that has the buttermilk rolls. Let's flip over here to buttermilk rolls, which uses buttermilk, and it's a yeasted bread. So there's yeasted dough, but you make the dough one day and then you shape the rolls, let them dry overnight. There's a dog drinking a lot of water. If you hear some weird sound, sorry about that. But potato flakes, make ahead bread by Donna Curry. Terrific, easy thing. These buttermilk rolls are our Thanksgiving rolls because I make them a little bit larger and then put slices of turkey as turkey sandwiches the next day, along with cranberry salsa. Turkey sandwich with cranberry salsa, that is a thing of beauty. So yeah, that recipe on my website as well. Okay. So I have talked enough and shared enough nonsense that I think the muffins have sat enough, because you want them to sit for about 5 minutes to kind of gather themselves and make sure they know what their purpose in life is. And because I sprayed the pan, they're all coming out nice and easy, or at least lifting out nice and easy. I'm going to dump them onto the cooling rack to finish cooling. Yes, Molly. All right. Now, what did I do with the extra batter? Because I didn't use up all the batter in this mini muffin pan. This would use, if you had a regular muffin pan, this would use the entire thing, all the batter. But because I'm using a mini muffin, I will make another round, and I set it out in my little Minnesota cooler area, the walkway to the garage, so it can hang out happily. Ooh, you didn't get sprayed enough. All right, so that's the cook's muffin right there. But we change cameras again. Hi, passing through. Okay, so here are our muffins. They're still pretty hot. Let them cool for at least another 15-20 minutes, and then you get to eat the banana peanut butter soaked oat chocolate chip whole grain mini muffins in, all of this plus the rest of it. So probably like 36-ish mini muffins or 12 regular size muffins, all from a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and a 1/4 cup of mini chocolate chips spread out amongst all of them. And it's a really tasty muffin. So I hope this has been helpful. I'm trying not to cram too many things into our 90 minutes together, but I wish there's a dog behind me. No, he'll be on the other camera. Hey, I just lost my train of thought. So I'm just going to close and say, I hope that this has been useful for an extra bonus if you were interested in a little bit more and without me having to, extend class even more. All right. Thank you. We're going to hit the recording, stop the recording. We'll stop. Okay. Thanks.